Redis dropped their BSD3 license in favor of. So this is the hot topic. So this is a proprietary license, and so a lot of people don't seem to like this decision, and it seems like it's a common theme right now, to have open source projects turn into either closed source projects or have like a restrictive license of some sort, right? But I guess it also, it's not something that you can't really say talk against as well, because there might be each organization has its own like reasons for why they are doing it. Profitability for one. The other is usually like there might be cloud players who have forked your forked your open source, and they're running it in their own what do you call they have a hosted solution of some sort, right? Which they are charging for. Elasticsearch, I think, was one of the first I remember that did something like this. And then I think at this point, I think I know like a lot of others have done this. Yeah, but I also hear that there might obviously something like this. Usually, what happens is there's a fork. It comes out, and then that fork is usually an open version of this, which doesn't have the next set of features, but it usually has like it has its own, it maintains the same license. And then the open source version usually has its own life cycle per se, right? So I'm seeing that is usually that's how it plays out, because like Elasticsearch, they went with this route, and then they I think another there was an open source version of that. HashiCorp did something very similar to this for their tools, and again there was an open source version of that. So it's like a very recurring theme, right? If you go from like an open license to a closed license, you usually have an open fork that comes out.
I think KeyDB is like I was also generally looking at their the licensing that these guys have used. So it's one from MongoDB. MongoDB also, actually MongoDB was the one to introduce the licensing that Redis is now using.
Right.
But I think
SSPL.
better licensing could have been FSL license.
I don't know about the FSL license actually.
So that actually gives you, it states that it gives you a 2-year overhead, not overhead, more like head start.
Functional source.
So if you want to host that service, it has to be a 2-year-old version of it. You cannot host the recent version.
Nice. So FSL provides everything a developer needs and use and learn from your software without harm for free, right? I did not know this. Is actually really good.
So this actually is used by, I think, Sanity. Sanity uses this. They actually moved to FSL.
Oh, Sentry is also using it. Yeah, Sentry is also using it. So actually, Sentry is really. Sentry has their open source game really good. I thought like usually people do AGPL. This is something that I know, right? Any product that comes out, AGPL I think is something that I see default, but I did not know FSL is a thing. So essentially, that what is that saying is if I'm building some software and you're having a hosted solution of it, then it has to be on a minimum of 2 years, right? So essentially, if a 2 years old, right? So it cannot be the latest version of it.
Correct.
So you can have like a 2 year, but again the problem becomes security patches and all of that, right? So that means that they need to so they can't use the software as is. You'll have to do the security patches yourself, but you can't depend on the open source community to do it for you, right?
Something on those lines, yeah. I have not seen how the security patches are handled, by the way, here. I was just going through and glancing, so I found this one.
Open core, okay. Open core is also something referred, right? Moreover, the percentage of features that are restricted and highly variable from product to product. Why not some other alternative? Yeah, each. There are licenses. This is a license that I've never heard about.
Even I got some about it.
Started by Sentry. Interesting. Okay, they started very recently. Okay, that's probably another reason why I haven't heard about it. Just end of last year.
So Sentry had a very strict closed license when they moved off from like open source licensing, and they have gradually made it more convenient, and now we are at FSL.
Nice. But I think this makes sense, right? For Sentry, at least this makes sense, and it looks like a lot of people, for these people also, this is making sense. CodeCov, I think this is coverage. This is, I think, acquired by Sentry again. Git Butler is a new tool I've heard. It's like a Git desktop thing. I don't know any of these companies. Convex, I think they do some embedded. They do some embeddings. Is that what they do? Okay, not. Then I was not talking about. It's backend as a service. Okay, I've not heard about them. Okay. Interesting. Backend as a service. That's nice. Hey, it's written in Rust. Nice. Okay, then now I have to try it. Not really, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. So.
By the way, I just saw yesterday that Microsoft has released some client, Redis-like client called Garnet.
Yeah, I saw it was like it is a C# library of some sort. Again, that works with Redis. Again, I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's like a drop-in replacement for Redis.
Okay, Garnet can work with existing Redis clients. Nice. It's a new remote cache store from. Okay, it uses the. This is possible because they adopt this RESP wire protocol, which is the Redis protocol for how data is sent over the wire. Serialization, essentially. How do you serialize and deserialize in any, like, whatever data you're updating? It needs to. If you follow the RESP wire protocol, you're essentially building a Redis client.
So if I have to make a service which is Redis compatible, all I have to do is follow the RESP client, is it?
Right.
Or protocol?
You have to follow the RESP protocol, but there's probably a couple of other things. Actually, good. Code Crafters has this thing on how do you build your own Redis. Yeah, you can look at like it gives you like the basics of what all goes into building your own Redis. Yeah, these are all the things that you need to do. Again, you'd build like
building your own
simplistic Redis, but not like full feature compatible and everything, but like the base level of it.
Got it. Does this mean the base core service? I was more talking towards something on the lines of a service which is not really Redis, but is also Redis compatible.
Right. So, but yeah, exactly. If you implement the Redis protocol, essentially you are building a Redis service. You are building an abstraction on top of Redis.
Got it. I wonder how does Upstash do it then? They claim to be Redis compliant, and they also provide.
I think they're open source. Are they open source?
Yes, I think their Redis version is open source. They have a Redis client which is open source.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
It's called Upstash Redis.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Sorry.
Can you see the? I think screen is visible, right? Just making.
Yeah, I was not looking.
So what they are doing is they have an npm package. Come on. Okay, let's look at just a simple get or a set command and see what they are doing. Get.ts. Okay, constructor super get. Super off, they call it super off get, and then passing the options. Okay. What are the tests do? Oh, they are all in on one, which is nice. Wait, what does this depend on? If we know what it depends on, is it? Okay, it doesn't depend on it. Not the right thing to search, but okay. Package redis.ts JSON get command. Yeah, this is what I think it calls, right?
Okay, so they create a Redis client.
Yeah, they okay, but where is this coming from? All of these are coming from /command/mod. That's what we looked at, right? We looked at get, where it was calling a super of something. It extends command and then calls super and then passes in the command. So I'm assuming like if you
So here I think we're just instantiating this, right?
yeah,
So instantiate
where
it.
is the
We use it. Okay, I think in one of the test cases they have that. Yeah, so line, I think, yeah.
e.execute, right? Client is new HTTP client. Test. Okay, that is fine. Which line are you looking at? This one. So basically, they're just calling this. Right? They're just passing the key, and running exec. So this, I'm assuming like this talks to the Redis server and then gets back the response, right? So the HTTP client is sending. The thing is, the problem here is I don't know what this does. Okay, just built on top of Upstash REST API. So essentially, it's doing an Upstash API call based on whatever this thing is. There is just a client SDK for that, right? So if you do get set or whatever, it's going to make an API call to the Upstash's REST API, and then that is internally going to. I'm assuming that it has its own Redis instance that is running on Upstash, right? So it has a Redis database, right? So and this connects to that, and then you could do redis.set or redis.get, and then it basically runs on their infrastructure, right?
So this means they are not using Redis anywhere.
Right.
The Redis compliant here refers to the way you interact with the database.
Correct. So this is just essentially they have a Redis client. They have a wrapper around their Redis API. Right, so you have an API that exposes. So this is multiple layers of abstraction, right? There's Upstash. Upstash itself has its own Redis that is running on its servers, right? Again, this is my understanding. They have it running on their servers. They've written like a client SDK for you to interact with Upstash, so it feels like you're interacting with any Redis REST API, right? That this is because Redis itself, right, has their own hosted solution for an API, right? Instead of that, you're using someone else's, which is Upstash, and then you're talking to Upstash's REST API, which internally talks to its Redis. Makes sense, right? So this is just a client for the Redis that is running on Upstash.
So I think they do not run Redis also on Upstash, because here they write on the website at least, it's a serverless database with a Redis style API.
What? So they don't actually run Redis? That doesn't make sense, right?
No, it does. No. So if I have to build, let's say if I were to build my own Redis, so some sort of implementation of Redis, I would not be using Redis, but the way I have to interact with my database, I would build something what Redis has already built.
So again, they're saying is Redis compatible database. Okay.
Yes.
So that means that they're okay. The internals we don't know. Then we'll have to see.
Because if you just go on their website, the first link that you would land on, here,
Upstash.com.
Yep.
Okay. Serverless Redis. This one?
Just go to the homepage. I think they have the very first line.
Okay, this is taking me just to the docs. Upstash.com.
So it's a serverless database with a Redis style API. So that I'm assuming they do not use Redis anyway.
I don't know actually. They have a Redis API. They don't say Redis style API, so I'm not sure now. Right? Is it an actual Redis instance that is sitting somewhere? I don't.
Let's see the docs. Create a Redis compatible database. Yes.
How does Upstash? So, I don't know. I'm just googling. This is saying this. It's a data platform with managed Redis API support. Upstash Redis and Web. I mean, we can't say for sure unless like they have an article that says this is how we do it, right? We're all assuming in some sense.
Yep.
See, so when they say when they claim themselves, they say Redis via Upstash, right? So is there a Redis database there? I don't know. I'm assuming there is, right? It seems like there is a Redis database, right? It would be a lot more work for you to write your own database. I don't think they've written a database. This feels like just a serverless offering of Redis, right? That's what I'm saying. They have a created Redis database within seconds. So the serverless part of it is where you don't provision anything related to Redis on yourself, right? And all the deployment of that is taken care of for you, right? That's the serverless part of it, and that's their offering, right? Similarly with Kafka, they are running Kafka, right? But it's just that you don't have to take care of the deployment of Kafka. You don't have to particularly worry about any of that. All of their offerings are very similar to that, right? So
Yep.
this is their concept, right? Upstash is serverless. You don't need to provision any infrastructure. Just create a database and start using it. This is what their USP is, right? Serverless is, it's just that it's abstracted away for you, right? For the end user, they should not care about any of this. That's the goal.
But in that case, Upstash should get impacted by the new Redis policy, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. I think we'll
But
see how that plays out.
In the Twitter post that they have made recently, they claim that they'll not be impacted.
Okay, then that's good. Good for them.
Because it's a custom key value store implementation compatible with the Redis API.
Then they have written. Okay, so then that means that they have written their key value store. Where is it? Then can you just link that in chat?
Yeah, I've added it in chat. Or should I tag you?
Where have you put it?
In the VC chat.
Okay. Just a second. Oh, that's nice. That's good actually. That means that they have done a lot of work. It's not a simple Redis wrapper. They have essentially built. Then that means what they have done is they have built a REST protocol compatible thing, right? So everything is Redis compatible. You can write. They've written their own database, which is compatible with the Redis spec. That's all they've done, right? And it's for any user who's used Redis. It's much easier for them to move because they follow this standard, right?
Correct. Yes.
Nice. Upstash is good. That means I have to try Upstash at some point. Okay, I guess that's enough of Redis. Let's start reading.